I support Julian Assange because when I worked there, I worked for a minister who was in charge of consular affairs. He had a particular case in Thailand where we had a drug dealer who was going to be executed. This minister had a drug
No, I think everybody's going to go down.
Yeah, because you might have an issue. I'm just going to help you.
So I used to work in the Foreign Office with a foreign minister who was in charge of consular affairs. He had a particular case in Thailand where a drug dealer was due to be executed by the Thai police. And he said, even though he had a son who had died from a heroin overdose, and he hated this man for being a drug pusher, he had to say, no, you cannot kill this man. It's against human rights and it's against all we stand for. So that drug pusher got his consular care from our ministers, but yet Julian Assange, who's done nothing wrong whatsoever except tell the truth about American abuses abroad, he is incarcerated and he cannot see his children at Christmas. So Boris Johnson, you see your two new kids at Christmas, absolute shame on you. You are disgusting, you are all evil. And Dominic Raab, who used to be such a nice young man before he went into politics, shame on you too. You are an absolute disgrace to our country. And I am ashamed of being British.
Me too.
It is Julian Assange, in his own words, calling a political prisoner a political prisoner. It doesn't suit the Western establishment narrative that yes, the West has political prisoners. It's a reality. It's not just me. There is a bunch of other people as well. No state accepts to call the people it is imprisoning or detaining for political reasons political prisoners. They don't call them political prisoners in China. They don't call them political prisoners in Azerbaijan. And they don't call them political prisoners in the US, UK or Sweden. It is absolutely intolerable to have that kind of self-perception. These are the words of Julian Assange, in his own words. This is all we have of his words at the moment. Read the book. Available from O&R Books, orbooks.com. Julian Assange, in his own words. It's like people working at the North Pole or in the space station. You have to deal with the absence of light. The light is the cue that sets your clock. These are the words of Julian Assange. 6.5 years inside the Ecuadorian embassy with no light, no sunlight. And he is the guy who has given us so much enlightenment through his work with WikiLeaks, publication after publication, about how war is conducted in the name of the public, but without our consent. As we wait to listen to the words of Stella Morris, we stand by her and her family. They are part of our society.
will fight till the end, till Julian is free and with his family. And I say clear and loud, we will fight till the end. We will fight to the end. And I ask everybody, every Wednesday, we are at the Australian Embassy from 3 to 5. Every Saturday, we're at Belmarsh prison. Come along. Piccadilly as well, yeah, both places. Julian needs our support. Years ago, there was a journalist called Gary Webb. He did the exact same thing. He revealed corporate CIA crimes. He never got the support of the community. Julian needs our support now. And I'm calling non-corporate journalists, I understand, you've got to buy another swimming pool. I'm calling on all the independent journalists. And I thank Max Blumenthal, The Grey Zone, Jimmy Dore, Gordon Dimmitt, sarcasm, all the people, all the independent journalists have done the work which you refuse to do. You won't even go on strike. Enjoy your materialism, because that's all you have. Mercy on Julian Assange. Bravo! Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ponder a question to you all right now. Julian Assange is inside prison for the last 10 years, inside Belmarsh and inside the Ecuadorian embassy. He was fighting for our freedom of speech, the ability to come out and speak. So right now, our travel, our words and our thoughts are being restricted, censored and deleted. So as Julian rots away in prison, so does our freedom of speech. You have to think that your words or your videos, your thoughts or your comments, and your travel all being restricted, deleted and censored. That means you're living in a fascist tyranny. Free Julian Assange!
Well said that, man.
Julian Assange, in his own words, the response of the United States to the release of the WikiLeaks materials betrays a belief that its power resides in a disparity of information. Even more knowledge for the empire, even less for its subjects. These are the words of Julian Assange. These are the words of an intellectual. This is the person that is imprisoned inside Belmarsh prison. Can you imagine it? It's Julian Assange in his own words. Read what he has to say for himself. They have silenced him, but his words live on. Another journalist was unjustly imprisoned in the summer, Craig Murray, in Scotland. We are so fortunate as to have him with us today, and we're looking forward to what he has to say when he comes out of the court. Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian Assange!
Okay, you're okay, don't worry. The gentleman will have to I'm going to get the floor. What they do.
Hello? Just a little carol. Oh, come, all ye faithful, supporters of Julian, lift up your banners high for him to be freed. Shout to the media, deny this extradition. A free press is fine.
fatal. So join with us, essential. So
I'm not
sing
sure,
your
but I think just,
praises for
the mic.
as one must be free. Remanded, though he's blameless, no crime has he committed, yet here they've imprisoned him in brutal Belmarsh. Patently political and travesty of justice. Oh, Biden cannot win, and Johnson must be thwarted. My lords, you've made your decision, but Assange must be freed. Free Julian Assange!
We haven't got the budget in the USA and the Americans, sorry, but we hold the moral high ground.
Julian Assange and Ed Snowden played a decisive role in transforming the balance of power between the people using internet communications to discover the lies and slanders and manipulations and murders and tyranny being established behind our backs. When we believed that the internet was a mechanism for increasing freedom, we discovered by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden that it was being used as a mechanism to establish ever greater totalitarian power over the world. And now we have a decision happening at a time over the last 2 years when we've been driven into a totalitarian dystopia with not only Julian Assange imprisoned, but nearly the entire world at one stage or another locked away in the name of lies, in the name of manipulation, in the name of big tech, big pharma and big corporations seizing control of the world in conjunction with the military, in conjunction with the state apparatus, its intelligence agencies, and yes, in conjunction with every single journalistic outlet in the world, in the mainstream, who have become pliant tools of the establishment, repeating every single lie spread by the ruling establishment around the world. Hold your heads in shame, journalists who call yourself that and are working for The Guardian, The Independent, and all these nonsensical claptrap journals. And then Facebook, social media, Twitter, all the YouTube, all of them engaged in global campaigns of censorship and manipulation of the entire world's population to support this tyranny. We have a few opportunities to smash this. They've established a tyranny in Austria, in Germany, in Australia over the last few weeks. They're trying to move in that direction now. We have to stand up against this. Stand up on the 18th. Attend the mass demonstrations outside Downing Street. Bring down the government. Mobilise the people. Make a global revolutionary movement to change the balance of power.
We have here the summary of the decision, which I'm going to read out. The government of the United States of America, the USA, requested the extradition of Mr. Assange to stand trial on charges alleging that he acted illegally in obtaining and publishing classified documents. Mr. Assange resisted extradition on a number of grounds. One of the issues raised on Mr. Assange's behalf was whether extradition was barred under Section 91 of the Extradition Act 2003 because of his mental condition. After a lengthy hearing in the Westminster Magistrates Court, the District Judge Magistrates Court decided all but one of the issues in favour of the USA. she decided that Mr. Assange's mental condition was such that it would be oppressive to extradite him because of the harsh conditions in which he was likely to be detained. The DJ therefore ordered Mr. Assange to be discharged. The USA appealed against the decision. The appeal was heard by a divisional court, Lord Burnett of Malton, Lord Chief Justice and Lord Justice Holdroy, on the 27th and 28th of October 2021. Mr. Assange has indicated that he challenges the DJ's decisions on the issues which were decided against him and will seek to raise those issues in a later stage, but they were not before the court at this hearing. This hearing was limited to the issue of whether the DJ was wrong to find that Mr. Assange's mental condition was such that it would be oppressive to extradite him. The United States of America argued that the DJ was wrong in the conclusions about Mr. Assange's mental condition and that in any event the USA had given a number of assurances which met the DJ's concerns. Mr. Assange argued that the DJ was entitled to reach the conclusion she did and that the assurances were not sufficient to lead to a different conclusion. In the context of extradition proceedings, the state which is requesting extradition may give assurances as to matters such as the conditions in which the person concerned will be detained if he is extradited. Assurance of this kind are solemnly undertakings offered by one government to another. For the reasons given in the judgment which is today handed down, the court allowed the appeal on the grounds that the DJ, having decided that the threshold for discharge under Section 91 of the Extradition Act 2003 was met, ought to have notified the USA of her provisional view to afford it the opportunity to offer assurances to the court, and B, the USA has now provided the United Kingdom with a package of assurances which respond to the DJ's specific findings. 4 assurances have been offered by USA in a diplomatic note dated 5th of February 2021. The court held that it had the power to receive and consider the assurances, notwithstanding that they were only offered after the DJ had given her decision. The court was satisfied that the assurances exclude the possibility of Mr. Assange being made subject to special administrative measures or held at 88 Florence facility, either pre-trial or after any conviction, unless after entry of the assurances he commits any future act which renders him liable to such conditions of detention. I encourage people to read the rest of the decision. This is the bad news that we were afraid we were going to hear today, and here it is. But our struggle continues to free Julian Assange. At the streets of London, around the world, in the courts, in the streets, in amongst our family, our friends, our journey continues. Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! No! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! No! And let's make it absolutely clear. There is only one decision! No extradition! There's only one decision! No! The judges would sit amongst us and deliberate amongst us and would hear our voices. It doesn't happen anymore. We have erected this fine building and they are inside and we're outside. They cannot hear our voices, but let's raise them all the same. Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! There's only one decision! No! Against why is it therefore that the judicial system does not produce a result in line with the values of this society? How is it? I hear the reason is the money. The judicial system is nothing unless supported by society. We pay our taxes for the upkeep rent of these buildings, for the salaries of the judges, and we demand that they reflect the values of the society we create. Justice must be seen to be done. We have seen no justice today. Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Yes, there is sadness, there is disappointment, but there is an absolute determination to continue with our efforts to free Julian Assange. We stand united.
Please. Sit down. Let me sit down.
Thanks very much for all the supporters for coming down here. Thanks to the press for turning up. We've got a couple of people who've been in the court this morning to say a few words to you. And now, I'll just say one thing about this court decision, and it's this: that there are two absolutely unchallengeably true facts about British politics. There are two absolutely unchallengeably true facts about British politics at the moment. One is that there was a party in Downing Street on the 18th of December, and the other is that you can't accept the assurances of the United States government in the case of Julian Assange, as the judges seem to have done today. But to tell you more about what's been happening, first of all, I'm going to ask Craig Murray, who's been following this case from the very beginning, to say a few words.
Thank you. Well, today's judgment was a partial victory in that the judge found that on the medical evidence and on the evidence of conditions in American jails, the magistrate had made the correct decision in refusing to extradite Julian Assange. However, they said, based purely on diplomatic assurances from the United States and a diplomatic note, that they accepted the word of the United States government as to the conditions in which Julian would be held. And they said that this is because they were solemn assurances from a state. Well, of course, these are solemn assurances from the state whose war crimes and murder of civilians were exposed by Julian Assange. You cannot accept these kinds of assurances from the government of the United States. And the government of the United States has broken precisely these kind of assurances in other legal cases for which there are a series of judgments at the European Court of Human Rights which were ignored by this court. So this is one stage in the legal battle which will go on. The other point, of course, is that so far these appeal hearings have only been on the subjects against which the United States government was appealing. The aspects of the original judgment against which the Assange team intend to appeal have yet to be heard, and those are freedom of speech, those are the right not to be extradited on political motivation, those are the facts that the extradition treaty with the United States specifically rules out political extradition. And we have the fact that Julian Assange is in prison for revealing to the world heinous war crimes, and that none of those who committed the war crimes is in jail. That is still the position here today. Of course, we are slightly disappointed. It is very, very difficult to get a fair hearing from the justice system in the United Kingdom in anything which cuts across the perceived interest of the security state, be it the UK or the United States. But this is a stage in the struggle, and the legal battle and the political battle will continue. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Craig. And now Stella Morris, Julian Assange's fiancée and an extraordinary campaigner in her own right, is going to give you her impressions of what happened today in court. Stella.
Hi everyone, and thank you for coming. I want to emphasize that the High Court accepted all the medical evidence and the conclusions of the magistrate that if Julian is extradited and placed under extreme conditions of isolation, it will drive him to take his own life. That extradition is oppressive. Yet the High Court decided against Julian on this occasion on the basis of political assurances, non-assurances that the US has given to the UK government. I say non-assurances. Amnesty International says non-assurances. Amnesty International has analysed these assurances and has said that they are inherently unreliable. They incorporate the possibility of breaking those assurances in their very wording. Today, it's been almost a year since I stood outside court with our victory of the blocking of the extradition. For the past year, 2 years and a half, Julian has remained in Belmarsh prison, and in fact, he has been detained since the 7th of December 2010 in one form or another, 11 years. For how long can this go on? Today is International Human Rights Day. What a shame, how cynical to have this decision on this day, to have one of the foremost publisher, journalist of the past 50 years in a UK prison, accused of publishing the truth about war crimes, about CIA kill teams. And in fact, every time we have a hearing, we know more about the abusive nature, the criminal nature of this case. Julian exposed the crimes of CIA torturers, of CIA killers, and now we know that those CIA killers were planning to kill him too. How can this court, how can these courts approve an extradition request under these conditions? How can they accept an extradition to the country that plotted to kill Julian, that plotted to kill a publisher because of what he published? This goes to the fundamentals of press freedom and of democracy. We will fight. Every generation has an epic fight to fight, and this is ours, because Julian represents the fundamentals of what it means to live in a free society, of what it means to have press freedom, of what it means for journalists to do their jobs without being afraid of spending the rest of their lives in prison. The UK imprisons journalists. They're imprisoning Julian on behalf of a foreign power which is taking an abusive, vindictive prosecution against a journalist, and this is what it's about. I urge everyone to come together and fight for Julian. Julian represents all our liberties and all our rights.
but this won't be the last time that we're outside a court of justice. The legal process is not exhausted. There will be another appeal. We will fight on. We will challenge the decision that the assurances of your kidnappers and would-be assassins are not worth the paper they're printed on. Fight goes on.
Thank you. Free Julian Assange.
Julian, amigo, el pueblo está contigo.
Seek to appeal to the Supreme Court on this decision.
We're with you 100%.